Konnichiwa! Evercade have just announced a brand new console, and it's not a follow-up to this, the massively popular Evercade handheld console. This is a console that sits under your TV. Join us as we check out all the details. My name's Mike, and this is the Retro Gamer Boy Show. Before we jump into the new Evercade versus console, if you're new to the channel, why not consider subscribing? And you can do this by clicking on a little button just below the video. So this is the Evercade handheld retro gaming console. It uses physical cartridges to play old classic games and also brand new modern retro games. But today, Evercade have announced that they have a new console coming out, and that is the Evercade VS. Now the Evercade VS or Versus, I prefer Versus personally, sounds a lot cooler, is a standalone home console that sits underneath your TV. Just like the Evercade handheld, it still supports two cartridges. You can have two cartridges in the console at the same time. And this just doubles the capacity, theoretically, of the games that you can play from your library. Now, there's some really interesting things about the console. The first is that it's 4-player, or at least it supports 4 joypads at the same time. You can either buy official joypads from Evercade, or you can use third-party joypads. The 8BitDo has been cited as one of those joypads that will work with the console. But a really cool feature is that you can actually plug in your Evercade handheld console and also use that as a joypad. The Versus has Hdmi Out and does 1080p. There's a ton of extra settings that you can mess around with inside the console as well. You can add scan lines and you can change the aspect ratio of the games. The interfaces also had a large overhaul when we compare it to the Evercade handheld console. Now, one of the really cool and interesting things about this console is that it supports Wi-Fi natively out of the box. Now, to start off with, this will just be probably for updates, but there's a potential there for an online store, so you could download games. But I think one of the real selling points of the Evercade products is that you can use physical hardware on the machine. So whether they'll actually go to a digital model as well is unknown at the moment, but the potential is there. So Mike, I hear you ask, when is it coming out? Well, you can pre-order the console on the 28th of May, and it's going to cost $99. Now, whether that translates to £99 or around £80, we don't know yet. But that's the kind of price mark they're aiming for. And then the full release is scheduled in for the 3rd of November. Now, the question we have to ask, is it worth you pre-ordering this console and buying it? Or waiting to see what it's like and then picking it up at a later date. Now, one of the cool things about the Evercade console is that it doesn't have some kind of limited run. There's always enough of these around that you can pick them up. And so if you wanted to, you could hang about and pick it up once you've seen some reviews drop about the console. Pre-ordering is also not a bad idea. Just look at the consoles and games that have come out recently for retro gaming that have sold out and then never get a release again. And you end up having to pay hundreds to pick up the console. Now, I don't think that's going to happen with the Evercade. They've done a fantastic job with their supply lines with the handheld device, and you can still easily pick it up for the original price now. And I suspect the same will be true with the Versus console. Now, there's going to be 2 bundles at launch. There's going to be, I guess, the standard bundle, which is the starter kit, 1 game and 1 joypad, which is awesome. You get a game straight out of the box. No news on what that game is yet. If you've got the entire Evercade catalogue, which is pretty easy and cheap to get, it may be that you're doubling up on a game, or they could have a special treat in store for us and there could be a new set of games there as well. And then there's going to be a more premium pack, which is 2 controllers and 2 games. But enough of the chat, let's check out the trailer that they've just dropped. So there you go, a brand new console in the Evercade range, the VS or Versus, which I think is way cooler. Do you own an Evercade handheld? Would you consider picking up the Versus console as well? Whatever your thoughts on this brand new console is, drop them in the comments box below and let everyone know what you're thinking about this new Versus console. And remember, we put out brand new videos every single Monday, and so that you never miss one, click on the little bell below and we'll notify you as soon as a new show is ready for you to watch. But if you can't wait until then, don't worry, we got you covered. We got a huge back catalogue of retro gaming videos, two of which you can check out over here.